Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for our information session about Oregon State University's Data Analytics graduate programs. Happy that you could join us, and we're going to go ahead and get started. These programs are offered by Oregon State University's College of Science and delivered 100% online through Oregon State eCampus. Presenters today, I'm Rebecca Badger. I work for Oregon State eCampus, and I'll be the moderator for this session. Also have Amy Cease with Oregon State eCampus's Enrollment Services Unit, and Virginia Lesser, or Ginny Lesser, with OSU College of Science. She's the department chair for the Department of Statistics, and she's also the program director for the programs that we're going to be talking about today. So just an overview of what we'll be covering during the session. We'll spend about 20 minutes sharing some information about the programs. That will include an overview of faculty, the curriculum, tuition, and the application process. And then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So if you have a question, please feel free to enter it at any point in the chat box, and we'll address those questions at the end. If there's something specific to your situation that you have a question about that needs additional follow-up, one of us will follow up with you after the information session. So please know that we will get your question answered, either during the session or afterwards. If you do need text captions for the session, you'll see a link there on the screen and also in the chat box to get to that. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. I know that several people that are joining us are from outside of the area, so I thought it'd be helpful to cover a little bit about the institution, Oregon State University, a leading public research university with our main campus in Corvallis, Oregon. We also have campuses located in Bend and Newport. We're regionally accredited by the Northwest Commission on Colleges and Universities, and at this point we have more than 30,000 students studying with Oregon State, with a growing number of students studying online through our Oregon State eCampus programs. We have over 45 programs currently delivered online and over 1,000 classes at this point, with over 19,000 students studying online in 50 states and 40 countries. So our student base for our online students is really growing, and at this point we've had over 3,000 students complete their degree online through OSU since 2002. Oregon State online programs are top ranked in the nation. We've been recognized by many groups, including U.S. News, as one of the nation's leading providers of online education. In fact, a fun fact, our programs have been ranked in the top 25 times since 2014, something that we're really proud of. Online students are OSU students. Our online community is growing and all part of the Oregon State University student community. All of our courses are developed and taught by Oregon State faculty and staff, and courses that are offered online have the same start and end date as academic courses that are offered on campus. If you're interested in knowing what it's like to learn online with Oregon State, I really encourage you to check out the course demo, which is located at the URL listed there, ecampus.oregonstate.edu/course demo. It's a great place to be able to get inside one of our courses and take a look around at what it's like to learn online at Oregon State, and check out the Canvas, which is our learning management system that we use here at OSU. Something else to know about online courses at Oregon State is that we're on the quarter system here, so you can start 4 times a year, and that's something that's unique with Oregon State. At this point, I want to turn it over to Ginny to tell us a little bit more about the College of Science, which is the college that is offering these programs that we're here to talk about today.
Thanks, Rebecca. I first wanted to point out that the Department of Statistics is actually in the College of Ag Science and the College of Science. So the College of Science is actually trained as a statistician. He's the former director of the Division of Mathematical Sciences at the National Science Foundation, and he's the former president of the American Statistics Association. In those 2 roles, he became quite aware of the need for more data scientists, statistics in our current society. And we also know how many statisticians are being trained across the U.S. in statistics programs, and we just don't have enough students that are being trained to accommodate the needs. Part of this program is also within the College of Engineering. The College of Engineering hosts the the School of Computer Science and Electrical Engineering, and they are providing 3 courses in this program. And all 3 deans, the College of Science, the College of Ag Science, and the Dean of the College of Engineering, have been extremely supportive of this program. As part of the strategic plan in the College of Science, the Dean, Sastry Pantulo, states that the college is prepared to leverage its existing strengths in statistics, mathematics, and computer sciences to become an international leader in data analytics. Our recent 10-year review that we had this past fall actually did comment about our data analytics programs that we were developing, and they state, given the increasing need for statisticians and data scientists, the university will be wise to invest in growth in our department, and they have been. So this particular slide there's a few quotes. The job of data scientist has been called the best job in America for 2016 by Glassdoor. And a report that came out a few years ago by McKinsey Global Institute documents the shortage that we have for data sciences. And that was one big report that came out that led to many data science programs being developed across the United States, because recognizing that our statistics departments are not meeting the needs of what we have in the U.S. So I want to tell you a little bit about our teaching faculty for this program. These classes, all the classes, will be taught by the faculty at Oregon State, our current faculty. They are developing these programs, these classes, and they will be teaching them. I actually just wanted to comment that a number of our faculty have had Excellence in Teaching awards. I looked at our student teaching evaluations, and it goes from 1 very poor to 6 excellent, and we consistently rate above 5 in all our teaching evaluations. We have excellent teachers that I'm very proud of in our department. As I mentioned, our faculty will develop and have developed a number of these classes and teach our classes. If you're interested in this or any of our faculty, you could go to the Oregon State University Department of Statistics. Under People, you can click on any of our faculty. You'll see their areas of research and see the classes that they have taught. So I want to say a little bit about the curriculum, and I feel I need to just elaborate a little bit on this, that these courses that we develop have not just developed lightly. We have been working on this for the past 2 years. At the start of this program, we actually surveyed quite a number of our former graduates that had graduated between 1 and 10 years, 15 years ago, and asked them, what didn't we teach you that you feel you need in the business today and what you're working on? And it was just incredible that our response rate was well above the 100% that I sent it out to, because students would send it out to their friends to say, what do you think about these questions? It was excellent. Based on that feedback, we developed our coursework to meet the needs of industry, banks, government, and a number of the other small businesses that these students were working in that responded to the survey. We also attended a National Academy of Sciences workshop in 2014 that was called Training Students to Extract Value from Big Data. So using that information as well, we felt we needed to develop a program that combines statistics with computer science. What came out pretty strongly is we need to understand how to deal with messy data, and also how to provide confidence intervals on the estimates that we get from this missing data. So our program, as you see, particularly the Masters of Science program, has core courses in both statistics and computer science. In the statistics classes, many of them will be using R. We have a class that will also be using SAS Enterprise Miner. And in the computer science programs, looking at the first syllabus from the first class, they'll be using Python. Program requirements. You see that this is the requirements listed by the graduate school. We ask that you have completed an undergraduate degree in an undergraduate course at the level of a 300 level class, 351, and we just list a few details there about the equivalency and the type of topics taught in that class. We hope that in that 351, at least here at Oregon State, we are now using R, so students would get some exposure to R.
All right, so now we're going to have Amy just speak to tuition and your investment as part of this program.
Thank you, Rebecca. So I did want to talk about just briefly, as Rebecca mentioned, the tuition for eCampus classes is the same for all eCampus students, regardless of where in the world they reside. So for this program, the tuition rate is $521 per credit. And what that doesn't include is maybe textbooks or any resources you might need to buy in order to be successful in your class. There is a one-time matriculation fee of $350, which is charged during that first term for all graduate students and undergraduate students alike. And then there is a possibly small fees that you'll see throughout your tenure here in order to hire proctors for your exams. Sometimes you can find proctors that won't charge anything. Community colleges and libraries often have proctoring services, and sometimes there's a small fee for the service. So you can do proctoring online. But those are the kinds of fees that you'll be expected to pay. Again, the tuition is $521 per credit. You can find our tuition fees on the link there. It's the ecampus.oregonstate.edu. And I think if you just do /tuition, you'll be able to pull that up as well. Financial aid is available for the Masters of Science in Data Analytics. It is not, however, currently available for the graduate certificate. That's something that we're working on right now. So again, you can still be eligible for aid if you're going into the master's program. There's a couple of resources here at Oregon State that will be really good for you to look into. The first, of course, is the graduate school. There's great information about financial aid specific to graduate students there. And then our financial aid office will work with anybody who has been admitted and has submitted a FAFSA. If you are familiar with federal aid and you know that you want to go ahead and submit that, you can go ahead and go to www.studentaid.gov and submit your FAFSA. They'll just ask for last year's tax information and some household information and your state ID, and you should be pretty much set. So I think that covers the financial piece.
So if you've heard all this information about the program and you've read about it online and you're ready to apply, the application deadline for fall term is August 21st. We just wanted to share some information about the application materials needed for each of the programs. Let's have Jenny speak to that.
So I wanted to also comment about the difference between the two programs that Rebecca asked me to speak to. The graduate certificate is 18 credit hours. It includes just 5 courses in statistics. They would be taken in sequence. So the 516, 517, 518 would be offered the first year. And then in the second year, you would take a time series class and a multivariate class. The Master of Science degree includes those 5 courses, plus the 3 computer science classes, plus 4 additional courses that are elective. So you see the Master of Science is a little bit more rigorous, and it provides more training, programming training, than we offer in the graduate certificate program. So because of that, that's where we had asked for GRE scores as an additional level of review when we accept you into the program.
Okay, at this point, we're going to open it up for questions, and this slide has some contact information if you have questions and you want to reach out directly to either the eCampus Enrollment Services office, which is listed there, and then Jenny Lesser in the Department of Statistics email address is listed there. I also have included dates for the upcoming starts for the upcoming terms. And if you have a question at this point and you want to add it to the in the chat box, we will go ahead and take a look at those and answer those in the order that they come in. All right, it looks like we have a couple questions here. Sorry, we're having a little technical issue here. Okay, so the first question we have is, I have a requirement that the college must be AACSB accredited. Is this MS Data Analytics AACSB accredited? So I know that our College of Business at Oregon State University is AACSB accredited, and through the College of Business they offer an MBA in Business Analytics, and that might be a program that if you're looking for an AACSB accredited program, that might be something that you look at. I know that's a question that we've got before to Ginny, and maybe you could speak to that. There's the difference between a business analytics and a data analytics program, because those two can be compared sometimes, and what the difference might be if somebody's looking at those two.
Sure. I'm not. What I do have is we did get final approval by the Oregon Higher Education Coordinating Commission in June for this program, and prospectus was sent to the Northwest Commission on Colleges and Universities by our Senior Vice Provost this past summer as well. The business analytics is directly related to businesses. This program, data analytics, is more general. It can apply to someone working in a range of workforce. For example, Macy's, Kroger, Red Roof Inn, Bristol Myers, Avis Budget, United Airlines, the Weather Company, IBM, a number of areas, not only in business, but as I mentioned, government. So it's not strictly related to business. So if you look at the courses in the business, we don't have an accounting class or other areas that you might see under a business analytics program.
Great, thank you. The next question is, does this program require GRE test and TOEFL test scores for senior professionals 10 plus years of experience pursuing the program? So if they have over 10 years of experience, do you still require the GRE or the TOEFL test scores for the master's program?
Yes, my understanding that's what is listed in the graduate school guidelines.
Okay. Okay, and that would be the same for the TOEFL. So if you're looking at the Master's of Science program, no matter how many years of experience you have, the requirement is still to submit a GRE or TOEFL if you're an international student. All right. Next question. Regarding the requirement for the ST 351 or equivalent, what is the process for determining the equivalency of the other coursework an applicant may have completed?
We would need to look at that syllabus for the class. It's important for us to make sure that the student entering the class is going to succeed in the class. And we need to look at the syllabus to see if it matches what we teach in our STAT 351 class. And that's what we typically do for many students that are transferring into our on-campus classes. We go through an evaluation of a number of all these classes.
So what if they wanted to pursue that, and what would be the path for them to do that?
Probably the path is to send it to me.
Okay.
And then I will have the committee review that as we do for our on-campus classes.
Okay, great. Data science includes skill sets from many different disciplines and requires immediate data engineering, domain knowledge, traditional statistical modeling, and machine learning experience. How does this program enable students to work from a few tens of records on a laptop to trillions of records in a Hadoop-like ecosystem?
That's
a big question.
That's a question I'm going to talk to the two faculty members in our department that work at that level. And so I will talk to them and defer that question.
That's a great question, and I really appreciate that question. I think that's a great example of one that we'll get back to you. So after the info session is over, we'll follow up with you specifically with information about that and a response. This person has a question about the GRE requirement. They are wondering, they have an MS in computer science and engineering. Do I still need to take the GRE?
Yes, I don't know if the graduate school, each individual case would be pretty difficult to evaluate. So as right now, every person applying to the program needs a GRE.
Okay. Is the master's program ABET accredited? And that's a question we'll get back to. I think there's some specific questions around accreditation that we can follow up with you about after the session. This is sounds like this person has been in contact with you before, Ginny, and they're wondering that you had mentioned that the master's program, they could be finished by the fall of 2018, and they're wondering if that would include summer courses. So maybe if you could speak to sort of the pathway, if there's somebody interested in the master's, the timeline or the pathway to completion.
Sure. As you know, this is the beginning of this program. It's starting next month. Part of this program is requiring us to develop about 14 new classes. So the first year is a lot of build-up. So what we have the first year, we already have 8 classes developed for the program. The 2 course sequences in computer science and statistics, 516, 517, 518, the CS 511, 512, 513 are offered this year. Those classes are needed for follow-up classes in the other statistics classes, so those are critical. Once you take them, over this coming year, we're developing 8 classes this year. That, in fact, the faculty that are in our current department, I actually release them from teaching a class in the department this year in order to develop these classes. So these classes will be developed next year. If someone was going to start in the fall of 2017 and go full-time meaning 3 courses a quarter, they can finish the program in 5 quarters. We are not offering the classes during the summer. We're only offering them in the academic year. So that would be 5 quarters. So because of the build-up of the program this coming year, you couldn't finish in 5 quarters because we still have a few courses yet to develop. So if you started this fall, you would be able to finish in the fall of 2018 because we're actually building the time series class and the multivariate class this year.
Great. And as that, we can add some information about that on our website too. I think that might be helpful for people to be able to see that pathway and when those courses are going to be available. Is there a mechanism to start with a certificate program and transfer into the master's program?
Well, I think, Rebecca, you mentioned something about the transfer credits. So for a Master's of Science degree, you can transfer in 15 credits. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So you don't necessarily have to apply to the program right now. You could take a class. You could take 15 credits of classes and then transfer in. So taking 15 credit hours, the same courses for the certificate program are needed for the master's program. So by taking one, that's just the certificate is just a subset of the MS program.
And we have other programs offered online through Oregon State that have that model where we have certificates that feed into a master's program. We refer to that as a pathway to a master's, and it can be a really good way for people to start and then decide they want to go on to get the full master's program. So as far as the mechanism goes, the curriculum is set up in such a way that if you were to do the certificate program, those courses are part of the master's program, so you would be on your way.
Perfect. So you know the logistics better than me, but yeah, that's fine with us.
So we had another question, same kind of question. So about the certificate being part of the master's. I will be taking courses while I'm working full-time, around 50 hours a week. Can this program be taken one class at a time? At what point would it be highly advisable to focus completely on the degree, for example, taking a sabbatical or a leave to focus on the program?
Well, certainly taking this one course at a time is one of the things that we felt students would do when they start this program. We're trying to help the Oregon workforce and recognizing people don't want to take the time or moving to Corvallis. That's why we're offering this online. So taking one course at a time is absolutely fine. So one of the requirements of the program is to complete a capstone project. That would be after taking a number of credit hours in statistics. So let's just say if you're taking one course at a time, probably at the end of year 2, you would have enough of the background now to start thinking about the capstone project. And then let's revisit your question. And then we'll see the best time because that might take more time. You'll be looking at a large data set, working with the team to analyze that, and that might be the time to take that sabbatical.
Is work experience comparable to the prerequisite classwork? Is there a test that can assess readiness? So they're asking about that ST-351 prerequisite class.
So the ST-351, I'm gonna read off the description that is a little bit more detailed than on the website. It's composed of 3 hours of lecture a week and 80 minutes of lab time. This is where you'll be learning R. So if you've had no exposure to R, I'm a little reluctant to, say this, you're prepared to jump into 516, because we're going to assume that you've had some exposure to R, that programming language. Topics include study designs, exploratory analysis, definition and rules of probability, introduction to inference using bootstrap distribution for confidence intervals and randomization distributions for hypothesis tests, sampling distributions, the normal distribution, one sample Z methods, one sample T methods. So there's quite a bit of information in our bootstrap distributions might not have been covered in another 300 level class. That's why we want to be sure that you've been exposed to this type of material prior to getting into 516.
Yeah, and so the question around work experience as being, if there's a way to sort of assess readiness, maybe that's something, doesn't sound like that.
I don't have a test, there's a math test, but I don't have one in statistics.
Okay. Okay. One more question. I'm an OSU undergraduate expecting to graduate next summer. I'm just completing ST 351 this summer with ST 352 scheduled for the fall. Would any of these courses make more sense for me than ST 352?
So if you've had 351, if you don't need the 352 for your current undergraduate major, perhaps then you could take the STAT 516 online in the fall, because you would have had the 351 already, so you should be ready to get into that. But it's depending what your major is. If your major requires 352 for your degree, you most likely would have to take that 352.
Okay. Yeah, I would say we might follow up with that question in our office a little bit personally too, because I think there's a lot of factors, not only the curriculum in your undergraduate, but also how far along you actually are with credits, and a couple of things you'd want to look at with tuition rates and things, because that graduate level course will be charged at graduate level tuition, and there's just some factors we'd want to make sure that we had you prepared to know what you were getting into if you decide to take a grad level course in your undergrad. That's all.
Okay. Looks like we've got through all the questions. If there's no other questions, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and for your questions. If you do have any other questions or you'd like to follow up, I have listed the information for our enrollment services team and Ginny on this last slide. And we will certainly be in touch with anybody who asked a question that we weren't able to fully answer. We'll be in touch by email. But thank you so much.
Thanks.